The best weightlifting program. Wow, how about that for a clickbait title? So we are going to talk about the best weightlifting program, but I'm going to tell you that there is no best weightlifting program, but this is only because of the fact that you need to figure out what your best program is. So there isn't a one-size-fits-all. This is the best program for everyone. Everyone should do the exact same thing. No. The best weightlifting program is the program that fits your needs best. And I'm going to tell you how to put one together. So that's actually more important. I actually think it's better for you to learn how to write your own program. Yes, I do. I know that's weird, right? Because I do coaching, and you would think that I would tell you, oh, the best thing for you to do is call me up, hire me, send me an email, contact me, only 3 spots left. Bullshit. The absolute pinnacle of good programming is whenever you know what you need to do. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not out here telling you don't hire a coach. I highly encourage most people. Most people should hire a coach. But for those of you who are so inclined to make the effort, you can learn how to write your own programming. And that, to me, is even better. It's like teach a man to fish kind of thing, right? So by all means, go ahead and buy a fish. Yeah. I didn't say give a man a fish. I said go ahead and buy a fish. You can buy a fish every day, or you can learn how to fish. You can buy meat at the store every day. You can learn how to hunt, kind of thing like that. You can feed yourself. It takes a lot more work. But you can do it. That's what we're going to get into here. Okay? So very quickly, let's take a look at some of the literature and stuff like that. The old Soviet training, and you'll see that they actually have books out there that will tell you which lifts correlate best and increase your training best. Surprisingly, or unsurprisingly, depending on how you feel about this, the power clean is actually the best lift for improving your total. That shouldn't surprise anyone. You're going to get a lot stronger, and if you can power clean something, you can certainly clean it. So power cleans should be at the top of your list of things that you need to prioritize. You'll also find that the overhead squat is really important. You wouldn't have guessed that, right? The back squat's actually really far down on the list. So overhead squats, front squats, those are really important. And of course, because you probably aren't an elite level lifter, okay, and that, I don't mean that as an aspersion, it's not an attack on you, that's not a criticism. You're just, if you're watching this, you're probably not an Olympian. You're going to want to include the full lifts. The reason you want to include the full lifts is because you want the practice of doing them. Yeah, you want to practice doing the full lifts because there is technique involved. Now, don't get me wrong, if you've watched my videos and you have seen me lift, what is the difference in my technique between me snatching, 100 kilos versus me snatching 200 kilos? There isn't going to be a big change in technique. There isn't some technique drill I can do that will suddenly put, an additional 100 kilos on a snatch. It's not going to happen. So you do have to get stronger, and that's really important. I am not one of those people that's out there touting technique, okay? As I say all the time, what do you call a guy who can power clean 405 with bad form? Because we've all seen collegiate athletes do that. What do you call them? Strong. That's what they are. They're strong. You look at Klokov. Klokov does not have the most beautiful technique in the whole world. Wow, he is really strong, and his technique is more than adequate for him to snatch very heavy weights. We've all seen him do the pause snatch with like 202, I think it was, 202 kilos. That's insane. That's an insane snatch. Then to pause snatch it? What the? Wow. All right, so where are we going to set this whole thing up? Well, one of the first things I'm going to point out to you is squat frequency. Now, I've asked this question of every time I get the chance to ask someone who is at the highest level, the Olympians, what's your squat frequency? No one ever tells me anything other than it's something between 4 and 6 times a week. Okay, I've heard 7. I've heard a lot of 5s. Okay, mostly 5s, but I've never heard anything less than 4. Okay, and I would tell you that the majority are telling me something like 4 to 6. So you're going to need to squat frequently. Damn, that sucks. And I still think the back squat belongs in your program. I do. Even though it isn't one of the top lifts in the literature for improving your total. And the reason why is because I actually consider the back squat to be sort of your easy day. Yes, I do. So we're going to squat multiple times a week. But here's the deal, and this is really important. If you find that you're squatting and squatting and squatting and you're not getting stronger, you probably have a dosage problem. Yeah, so we're going to squat frequently, but we're not going to squat insanely high volumes, right? So we're not going to bury ourselves with, let's do 5 sets of 10 every single day. No. I think it's better for you to work up to a heavy single, or a double, or a triple for that matter. Something low rep, okay, 1 to 3 reps, and you're going to hit one top set. Start there. You don't start adding volume, just, oh, I'm just going to jump straight to volume 11. No, we start off with the lowest volume, and that's just going to be frequently squatting. So we're going to squat 5 times a week, and we're going to work up to a single. And you're going to front squat, and then the next day you're going to back squat. But this is my trick. I'm just sharing my trick. Let's say I front squat, and today I work up to 285, okay? So nothing amazing. This isn't my 1 rep max or something. That's what I hit today, and it felt heavy. So I'm like, well, that's all the more I'm going to do, because I'm not going to risk missing a lift. That doesn't help me to miss a whole bunch of squats. So I'm going to work up, and I'm like, wow, 285 felt really heavy today. Probably not sleeping well or something. I'm just not recovered, All right. Well, tomorrow, I'm going to back squat 285, because that's what I front squatted today. Then, the next day, I work up to my front squat again, and oh man, I feel really good today. I hit 315 for a double. So then, the next day, when I back squat, I'm just going to work up to 315 for a double. You see what I'm doing? I'm actually using my front squat as the auto-regulated lift, and then my back squat becomes this squat where I'm just like, well, whatever I hit on front squat yesterday, that's what I'm going to back squat today. It gives me kind of a little bit of a rest. It's a little bit of it's a back off, okay? So that's where you're going to squat. Next thing we're going to have in here is we're going to have some pulls, okay? Because you have to build strength. We're going to go snatch grip deadlifts. And what you're going to do is you're going to do power cleans, okay? And then you're going to have a snatch grip deadlift, and I alternate those days. And sometimes I rotate something else in, like maybe just doing clean deadlifts from a deficit. Yes, I said deficit. Klokov has a great comment. He talks about how American lifters lift from blocks and Russian lifters pull from deficit. Yeah, that's really accurate. That's really true. So we're going to have that as our strength work. We're going to put in squats and pulls for our strength work. And you know what else is actually really useful? Presses. I know everyone hates doing presses. Everyone's like, I don't like going overhead. How the hell do you plan to jerk something if you don't like going overhead? Now, personally, I think the push press is the best of the press variants that you can work on. The push press not only involves your legs, so it's getting that element of the jerk there, but it's also forcing you to press this thing out at the top, which means it's going to improve your lockout. So we're going to include the push press, okay? And then, of course, because that would be remiss if we didn't mention this, you're going to have the overhead squat somewhere in there. Now, do I think that you need to overhead squat daily or something? No, I don't. But I do find it interesting that the Soviets found that the overhead squat was important. And you know what? If you can't overhead squat and you can't stop at the bottom of your overhead squat and have a stable position, you're probably not going to catch a lot of snatches. Just the way it is. Now, for cleans and snatches, we're going to put those in just as, I don't want to say, how do I put this intelligently? If you have a day where you want to clean heavy, you want to snatch light, and if you're going to snatch heavy, then you're going to clean light, okay? Or, and this is up to you, you can do them on alternating days. No one says you have to snatch and clean in the same day. Now, personally for me, I like to snatch. It's my favorite lift. So I like to snatch even on the days where I do heavy cleans. But here's the deal. I will actually do my heavy clean first. I know this is out of order. Aren't you supposed to snatch before you clean? Yeah, you are. But you know what? There are days where I squat first too. So it's whatever I want to work on that day, I'm going to put as my first lift, because the first lift is the one that's going to be the one where you're fresh. So if I want to improve my squat, I squat first. So on the day where I want to really focus on my clean and go heavy, I'm going to clean first. So I'll do a clean and jerk, right? And then I'll just snatch light afterwards. I like to snatch because I like to snatch. I don't even care if it's just 40 kilos and I'm just doing triples. I'll do a whole bunch of them just because I like doing it. And I think that that actually is really good technique work for you to actually snatch after doing heavy cleans. I know that that doesn't have a science base to it or something like that, but there's not a lot of science-based bullshit to weightlifting. Sometimes it just comes down to figuring out what works well for you. This is what I figured out that works well for me, okay? And that is what you're going to build your program around. Those primary things that I just listed, that is what your program is going to be based around. Heavy squats, heavy pulls, heavy push presses. You can do some strict pressing. There's no reason why you can't, but I think the push press has better transfer to the jerk. You're going to do snatches, full snatches. Yes, you. I know. You want me to say, oh, do snatches from blocks and do snatches from hang. Yeah, I'm not opposed to that, but most people should be doing the full lift because they need the practice. And then you're going to have full clean and jerk in there because you need the practice. Now, this is another thing I like to do, is that if I snatch and clean, the next workout, I will do power snatches and power cleans. That's another trick you can do besides just alternating your front squat, back squat. You can do snatches and then power snatches the next day, okay? There isn't a right or wrong way to put this together because, as I pointed out in the beginning, the trick to this is finding your best program, okay? Now, after all of this is said, where do all the other things fit in? What about muscle snatches and muscle cleans? And what about this from blocks and this from tall snatches? And, well, that starts to get into things like, where are your errors? And there is no one-size-fits-all. If I sat here and said, you should do tall snatches, that would be a stupid thing for me to say because I don't know what technique errors you're making. Does that make sense? If someone tells you in a program, you have to do, pause at the knee cleans, why? What technique error does this person have before you prescribe that? If you're going to include corrective variants, corrective movements, etc., make sure that you're choosing things that are relevant to that lifter. There is no one-size-fits-all. You don't just say to everybody, hey, you know what? You're not very good at pulling under, so you should do tall cleans. And because that's true for you, that's true for everyone. See, that wouldn't make any sense. That person who's not good at pulling under, they need to do the tall cleans. Someone else who doesn't have a problem with pulling under doesn't need to be doing a bunch of tall cleans. They would spend their time better on power cleans and actually, building more power, more strength, more explosiveness. I realize that what I've said here is that you have to figure this out, and I realize that that sucks because it means that you're going to have to tinker with this and play with this. But the real takeaway from this that you need to understand is you're going to use certain movements to build strength, and then you're going to use other movements to improve your technique or your strength in certain positions. If you can't hold a position, right? So let's say, for instance, that you don't pull very well. Your hips rise too fast and you can't keep your chest up and you can't keep that good upright position. You will probably want to do things like you're going to do a snatch variation where you come up to the knee and pause, then come up just past the knee and pause, and then boom, go through with the rest of the snatch. That will be a good thing for you. Maybe you'll do hang snatches from the knee. Okay? If you don't finish your extension well, you might want to do high hang snatches or high hang power cleans, right? Really full extension there. Hammer that extension. Bang that in. Drill it into yourself to the point where you extend every single time, because your problem is that you're not extending. This is the part where you need to figure out the really complex part, which is the part where you're trying to figure out where is your error, and then how do you best address it. And that is the part that is going to require you to experiment. In this whole world of, 18 million different athletes playing 1,000 different sports, okay? You can't give one size fits all in any circumstance. I can't sit here and tell you every hockey player should do this drill. I can't sit here and tell you every javelin thrower needs this drill. I can't sit here and tell you that every sprinter needs this drill. So why would you think for 1 second that you could say, oh, weightlifting, well, everyone needs this drill? That doesn't make any sense. What you need to do is figure out where your technique error is, and then choose the variant that addresses that technique error so that you can correct it and correct your strength in certain positions, okay? So if you are terrible at the pullover, right, you might want to do more muscle snatches. Oh, damn. Yeah, so you're saying that if there's a problem, I should address the problem? Yes, that's exactly what I said. Outside of that, the rest of the game is just getting stronger. Like, that's really it. Like, you look at these elite level guys, and it just gets stronger at some point. I know you would like me to tell you that there's some secret that, like, yo, you don't have to get any bigger, you don't have to get any stronger, just fix this little error and suddenly it'll double your snatch. And that's not going to happen. Like I said, if you've seen videos of me lifting, tell me how I can improve my technique that will double my best snatch or double my best clean. It's not going to happen. Why do I suck at the jerk? Well, I suck at the jerk for a whole long list of reasons. I have technique errors, I have strength issues, I have all kinds of problems with the jerk. But like when it comes to my snatch or it comes to my clean, I just need to get stronger. And at some point, that's going to happen to you too. You just have to get stronger. Like, how many times have you seen me clean something and I can't stand it up? Okay? I can get under practically anything I can pull off the ground. If I can pull it up to my hip, I can get under it. I can't stand it up, and I can't jerk it. What do you do at that point? Oh, shit, you got to get stronger. So, I think I made my point. At least I hope I made my point. I hope it's really clear. The point is, you guys need to, yins, how about that, yins? There's some Pittsburgh E's in there. You guys need to figure out what technique you need to address, right? But the rest of it is just getting stronger. Bigger pulls, bigger squats, bigger push presses, etc. Build that strength. What do you call a guy that can power clean 405 with bad form? Strong. Well, guess what? If you get crazy, freaky strong, like, it's going to get a lot easier for you in the long run. Having an excess of strength is a positive thing.